story behind this painting is that of Lemminkainen, the restless Kalevala hero who had set out on a foolhardy expedition, despite his mother's warning, to win the hand of a maiden who could not be won. He was to prove his worthiness and skill by killing the swan of Tuonela, the immortal bird. Green as a corpse, he lies by the black water, where the swan, its neck in a mocking arc, glides away. The golden, vibrant sunbeams give hope to the kneeling mother, and she sends a bee to find a balm for her son. Deathly green herbs with pale flowers and blue-black berries grow among the human remains. This is how Akseli Gallen-Kallela described the great project he was beginning, the painting entitled Lemminkainen's Mother. Gallen-Kallela depicted the point in the story where the mother, having gone after the child, has retrieved his dismembered body from the river of death and reassembled it, but has not yet managed to restore life to it. The painting is jammed full of symbols of death and signs of the mother's despair. The pale green body of the dead Lemminkainen, partly shrouded. The ominous blackness of the river of Tuonela, the dark swan of death, the herb Paris flowers, the blood-stained stones, and the barren rocky terrain of the kingdom of death, the skulls and human bones. Of all the heroes of the Kalevala, Lemminkainen was the one with whom Gallen-Kallela felt the closest affinity. He identified himself with the far-sighted, restless hero who was never comfortable anywhere. He always longed to be somewhere other than where he was. Gallen-Kallella's longing was an eternal, restless search, taking him to the African savannas or to the primeval forests of Finland. The artist used his own mother as a model for Lemminkainen's mother. Her sad and painful expression reflects all the grim things that her son filled her mind with while painting to produce the required atmosphere. The artist must at times be quite callous. I distressed my mother on purpose while I was painting. In order to change her expression into one of pain, I took the conversation into such abysmal depths that finally she burst into tears, even though she was a woman of strong nerves. And this was only one sitting. Now she is dead, and I pray for her forgiveness. Lemminkainen's mother is depicted at a moment when the most poignant grief over her son's death has yielded to a determined effort at salvation. Golden rays of the sun, the warmth of life, shine on her. The messenger of the living, the bee, has been charged with fetching the healing balm. The story concludes happily. The mother receives the balm, anoints her son with it, and he is revived, only to continue his wild adventures without learning anything from this episode. Akseli Gallen-Kallela was an artist for whom urban life was fundamentally alien. He felt the need for peace, quiet, and untouched nature, seclusion from the rest of the world. He was a man of great ideals, for whom life was never satisfactory as it was. In his works, he tirelessly sought after life as he would have wanted it to be. Karelia in eastern Finland was for him the land of the last descendants of the Kalevala. The harshness of life in the wilderness and ancient mysticism seemed to coexist peacefully in eastern Karelia. Gallen-Kallela found a counterpart for Karelia in central Finland, where he built his wilderness studio, Kallela. He designed it himself, down to every last detail. Here were created the most significant of Gallen-Kallella's Kalevala paintings, the pictorial canon of Finnish mythology. In The Fratricide, he took his simplified, no longer realistic pictorial expression even further than in Lemminkainen's Mother. This illustration of a Finnish ballad about a boy who killed his brother is also a picture of a mother and child, of a mother's pain and despair when confronted with death. The artist immersed himself in the ballad time and again, listening to the simple melody played by his wife. I have begun a little picture that is as simple and straightforward as a folk song. The whole is like music in colors, in a minor key, where the two patches of color are like broken strings. Desperate cries of pity. Everything in the painting had to conform to the simple cadences of the ballad. A limited palette, ornaments based on old textile art, even the rough tow cloth on which the work was painted, woven by prisoners at a labor camp. Akseli Gallen-Kallela was constantly interested in all things untamed and primitive. At the start of his career, in Boy and Crow, he had chosen to paint a small ragged country boy in patched clothes, on a trampled lawn, watching intently the crow residing in the yard, in order to tame it for a pet. Little Anna was the artist's 11-year-old sister-in-law. He painted her against the frame of the Kallela dining room door, with a model of a tar boat in the background. The colors used in the portrait emphasized the characteristics that the artist was especially fond of in his young sister-in-law: the blue of the ribbon and the white of her dress, the colors of purity and innocence. Lemminkainen's Mother is not so much a portrait of the wanton Lemminkainen as of the mother and her unyielding battle for her son's life. That is what the artist wished to convey. He knew that in his own mother he would find someone to understand his own Lemminkainen nature, wavering and restless. After brooding over the subject for many years, he prepared meticulously for the work once he got started. A small room with walls painted black was constructed under the skylight of the Kallela studio. The only light came from above. Gallen-Kallela created his own Manala, the realm of the dead. Lemminkainen's Mother was a titanic project for Akseli Gallen-Kallela, the work of many years. He himself was not at all certain whether the work had succeeded. I am tired, now that Lemminkainen is finally sent on his way, and the picture will be a fiasco. But the frame is beautiful at any rate, very beautiful. I have made, gilded, and tarnished it myself. The utterly exhausted artist was more satisfied with the frame of the picture than with the painting into which he had distilled his lifelong love for his mother and for the ancient mythology of the Finns.
Descubre el espectáculo de la imaginación con los 4 grandes de la batuta en Tiempo de Bellas Artes. Al terminar, acompáñenos en Hacia el Tercer Milenio.